Administration says a 25% tariff on imports from Canada and Mexico could go into effect by Saturday. Jasmine Bingham looks at any possible local impact.
I spoke to the mayor of Monroe, Mayor Friday Ellis, on how people in Northeast Louisiana could avoid some of those expected costs.
CNN reports the expansion of tariffs could affect trade and increase prices on everything from cars to medication. President Trump told reporters tariffs on Canada and Mexico could be at 25% as soon as February 1st, and those countries could respond with tariffs of their own. Mayor Friday Ellis says with shopping local, people in Northeast Louisiana could invest in their own communities.
I remind everybody to try their very best to shop local. Every dollar that is spent here, 60 cents stays in your community if you shop local. If you go big box, 20% will stay local. And it's very important that we make those conscious decisions to support our small business owners, especially in times because all of this with talks of tariffs is speculative right now. We don't know. But even in these times where it may cost a little more, just make that conscious decision to stay local.
Mayor Friday Ellis says in times where costs are high, he wants to ensure seniors and those facing hard times are aware of community resources that are available.
Concerned in times like this about our most vulnerable, our senior communities who are living on a fixed income. If you know of people who are struggling, who are trying to make the light bill or the grocery bill, we have great partners in our community like the United Way. Please reach out to the United Way and they can get you connected to wraparound services.
And for more information on resources from the United Way, visit unitedwaynela.org. Back to you.
All right, thanks.